The 6th of June 1944. It was D-Day, and the 3rd Canadian Infantry Division was responsible for taking Juno Beach. The objective was to cut the Corps-Bayeux Road, seize Carpiquet Airfield west of Caen, and form a link between the two British beaches of Gold and Sword on either side of Juno. Juno Beach, named so because British Prime Minister Winston Churchill thought the original code name of Jelly was inappropriate, was defended by 2 battalions of the German 716th Infantry Division, including elements from the 21st Panzer Division. The Canadian landing on Juno were initially met with heavy resistance, as the preliminary bombings of the beach proved to be less successful than originally hoped, and weather had caused the initial landing of troops to be delayed. The 3rd Canadian Infantry Division, with help from British Royal Commandos, were able to push further inland than any other landing force on D-Day. By the 7th of June, the Canadians were able to join with British landing forces on Sword Beach, before forming one continuous front with the Americans on the 13th. The subsequent advance on Caen and Cherbourg was slow. However, Canadian and other Allied forces were able to eventually capture Carpiquet Airfield during Operation Windsor on the 5th of July, almost 1 month after the initial landings. Caen was captured later as part of Operation Charnwood and Operation Atlantic. Thanks to the invasion of Normandy and the courage of those who landed on the beaches, Allied forces were eventually able to push Germany out of Western Europe and eventually defeat Hitler, bringing peace to the world.
The storm breaks in full final fury on the German Rhine. Berlin, the once mighty fortress of Nazi Germany, now feels the final blows that have progressively stunned, demoralized, and almost stilled its heartbeat. On every side, the last-ditch centers of fanatic resistance are hemmed in, hopelessly beaten. The end has come. At Reims, France, a certain red schoolhouse becomes famous. Colonel General Gustav Jodl, Chief of Staff of the German Army, arrives at General Eisenhower's headquarters. These Nazis had delayed to avoid surrendering to the Russians, but General Eisenhower gives them a sharp ultimatum: sign or the war will go on. The great moment arrives as the surrender papers are prepared. Jodl, authorized representative of Admiral Dönitz, temporary head of the German government, signs the surrender document, the final capitulation of the Nazi state. So ends Nazism, the scientific organization of all that is evil and bestial in man.